This audiobook of party organization and party literature is an essay by Vladimir Lenin, which was first published on November 13, 1905. The Congress of the Peasant Union, now in session in Moscow, once again raises the vital question of the attitude of Social Democrats to the peasant movement. It has always been a vital question for Russian Marxists when determining their program and tactics. In the very first draft program of the Russian Social Democrats, printed abroad in 1884 by the Emancipation of Labor Group, most serious attention was devoted to the peasant question. Since then there has not been a single major Marxist work dealing with general questions, or a single social democratic periodical, which has not repeated or developed Marxist views and slogans, or applied them to particular cases. Today the question of the peasant movement has become vital not only in the theoretical but also in the most direct practical sense. We now have to transform our general slogans into direct appeals by the revolutionary proletariat to the revolutionary peasantry. The time has now come when the peasantry is coming forward as a conscious maker of a new way of life in Russia. And the course and outcome of the Great Russian Revolution depend in tremendous measure on the growth of the peasants' political consciousness. What does the peasantry expect of the revolution? What can the revolution give the peasantry? Anyone active in the political sphere, and especially every class-conscious worker who goes in for politics, not in the sense vulgarized by bourgeois politicians, but in the best sense of the word, must answer these two questions. The peasantry wants land and freedom. There can be no two opinions on this score. All class-conscious workers support the revolutionary peasantry with all their might. All class-conscious workers want, and are fighting for the peasantry to receive all the land and full freedom. All the land means not putting up with any partial concessions and handouts. It means reckoning, not on a compromise between the peasantry and the landlords, but on abolition of landed estates. And the party of the class-conscious proletariat, the Social Democrats, have most vigorously proclaimed this view. At its third Congress held last May, the RSDLP adopted a resolution directly declaring for support of the peasants' revolutionary demands, including confiscation of all privately owned estates. This resolution clearly shows that the party of the class-conscious workers supports the peasants' demand for all the land. And in this respect the content of the resolution adopted at the conference of the other half of our party fully coincides with that of the resolution passed by the Third Congress of the RSDLP. Full freedom means election of officials and other office holders who administer public and state affairs. Full freedom means the complete abolition of a state administration that is not wholly and exclusively responsible to the people, that is not elected by, accountable to, and subject to recall by, the people. Full freedom means that it is not the people who should be subordinated to officials, but the officials who should be subordinated to the people. Of course, not all peasants fighting for land and freedom are fully aware of what their struggle implies, and go so far as to demand a republic. But for all that, the democratic trend of the peasants' demands is beyond all doubt. Hence the peasantry can be certain that the proletariat will support these demands. The peasants must know that the red banner which has been raised in the towns is the banner of struggle for the immediate and vital demands, not only of the industrial and agricultural workers, but also of the millions and tens of millions of small tillers of the soil. Survivals of serfdom in every possible shape and form are to this day a cruel burden on the whole mass of the peasantry, and the proletarians under their red banner have declared war on this burden. But the red banner means more than proletarian support of the peasants' demands. It also means the independent demands of the proletariat. It means struggle, not only for land and freedom, but also against all exploitation of man by man, struggle against the poverty of the masses of the people, against the rule of capital. And it is here that we are faced with the second question: what can the revolution give the peasantry? Many sincere friends of the peasants, the socialist revolutionaries, for instance, among them, ignore this question, do not realize its importance. They think it is sufficient to raise and settle the question of what the peasants want, to get the answer, land and freedom. This is a great mistake. Full freedom, election of all officials all the way to the head of the state, will not do away with the rule of capital, will not abolish the wealth of the few and the poverty of the masses. Complete abolition of private land ownership, too, will not do away either with the rule of capital or with the poverty of the masses. Even on land belonging to the whole nation, only those with capital of their own, only those who have the implements, livestock, machines, stocks of seed, money in general, etc., will be able to farm independently. As for those who have nothing but their hands to work with, they will inevitably remain slaves of capital even in a democratic republic, even when the land belongs to the whole nation. The idea that socialization of land can be effected without socialization of capital, the idea that equalized land tenure is possible while capital and commodity economy exist, is a delusion. In nearly all countries of Europe, socialism has experienced periods when this or some similar delusions have been prevalent. The experience of working-class struggle in all countries has shown in practice how dangerous such an error is, and today the socialist proletarians of Europe and America have completely rid themselves of it. Thus the red banner of the class-conscious workers means, first, that we support with all our might the peasants' struggle for full freedom and all the land. Secondly, it means that we do not stop at this, but go on further. We are waging, besides the struggle for freedom and land, a fight for socialism. The fight for socialism is a fight against the rule of capital. It is being carried on first and foremost by the wage workers, who are directly and wholly dependent on capital. As for the small farmers, some of them own capital themselves, and often themselves exploit workers. Hence not all small peasants join the ranks of fighters for socialism, only those do so who resolutely and consciously side with the workers against capital, with public property against private property. That is why the Social Democrats say they are fighting together with the entire peasantry against the landlords and officials, besides which they, the town and village proletarians together, are fighting against capital. The struggle for land and freedom is a democratic struggle. The struggle to abolish the rule of capital is a socialist struggle. Let us, then, send our warm greetings to the Peasant Union, which has decided to stand together and fight staunchly, selflessly and unswervingly for full freedom and for all the land. These peasants are true democrats. We must explain to them patiently and steadily where their views on the tasks of democracy and socialism are wrong, regarding them as allies with whom we are united by the great common struggle. These peasants are truly revolutionary democrats with whom we must and shall carry on the fight for the complete victory of the present revolution. We are fully in sympathy with the plan to call a general strike and the decision to rise together the next time, with the town workers and all the peasant poor acting in unison. All class-conscious workers will make every effort to help carry out this plan. Yet no alliance, even with the most honest and determined revolutionary democrats, will ever make the proletarians forget their still greater and more important goal, the fight for socialism, for the complete abolition of the rule of capital, for the emancipation of all working people from every kind of exploitation. Forward, workers and peasants, in the common struggle for land and freedom. Forward, proletarians, united by international social democracy, in the fight for socialism. Thank you for listening. Remember to like and subscribe for more Marxist audiobooks.